Warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. Kate Eckman is the author of The Full Spirit Workout, a 10-step system to shed your self-doubt, strengthen your spiritual core, and create a fun and fulfilling life. She is a broadcast journalist and TV personality who brings her expertise in communications, performance, and mindfulness to her practice as a success coach for business leaders and professional athletes. Passionate about mindfulness practices for both brain and body health, she is also a meditation teacher and course creator for meditation app Insight Timer. Wow, I asked Kate to let us know what she does, as I do at the top of every episode, and her response was incredible, quite unlike any answer I've received so far. Before I go on, I must share two things with you. Firstly, it's really important that I let you know that we talk about suicidal thoughts and indeed suicide in this episode, and so if this is something you might find triggering, it might well be best to skip it. Secondly, when I arranged our recording, I worked out timings between myself and the West Coast, except I didn't bank on there being a clock change in between my booking and the conversation itself. And so the result of this is a slightly more rushed chat than usual, but I'm jolly proud we covered as much as we did. Former pro swimmer and athlete Kate knew how hard she had to train her physical muscles over the years, and she speaks about how it is these things we are told we need to work out. Yet, after facing many life challenges, and especially the loss of two dear loved ones to suicide, she went to Columbia to train in neuroscience and positive psychology and created a program for your spirit, training mental and emotional muscles, enabling people to cope with all that life throws at them. We cover the importance of talking about our struggles. Kate shares how she has been thankful for complete turmoil at times in her life, deeming it a gift and a treasure once she's come out of the other side. We of course talk about her book, and she shares how once you get to a certain level of inner spirit fitness, you will see the effects across your whole life. Improved relationships, more creativity, higher level performance, to name but a few. For those of you who have never done a spiritual practice, Kate has a fabulous and achievable starting point for you, so do tune in to find out. I've been giving this a go each morning since we recorded the episode. It's amazingly powerful and blissful too. We cover so much in this deep and meaningful conversation, and I know you will take very much from it yourselves. Enjoy the show. Before we dive into today's episode, I just want to share some words about today's sponsor. Most of us are juggling complex lives and careers while often caring for other people, and it's exhausting. This can result in fatigue, excess weight, mood swings, and more, all common indicators of a woman doing it all. Unchecked, we can become vulnerable to illnesses. Step forward Venus Nutrition, a team of health specialists supporting women through all stages of life. The Venus approach guides women towards a fresh mindset about nourishing simple food with astounding results, allowing you to feel in control of your health, appearance, weight, energy, and sleep. As improving your health, developing new habits, and a fresh mindset doesn't happen overnight, Venus create a bespoke nutrition and lifestyle plan, working closely with you to provide the support, motivation, and accountability you need to reach your goals. Book your complimentary health and energy review today to discuss the support that you need. Venus are also offering you 10% off their programs. Just mention the How Does She Do It podcast when booking. To book your complimentary review, head to venusnutrition.co.uk/Venus one-to-one reset. Head down to the show notes to click an easy link for your complimentary review. Enjoy the show. Kate, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and chat with me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a delight to be here, enjoy, and anytime I'm able to connect with someone in a meaningful way, it's a good day, it's a good moment. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. You're so welcome. It would be Wonderful. If we could set the scene for my listeners before we get stuck into our conversations today. And so it would be wonderful if you could let us all know a little bit more about you and your career and what you do and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, I feel like a cat with 9 lives. I think I'm the poster child for reinvention. And I'm reminding everyone right now to take a pause and really remember and honor that you are a multi-dimensional woman or man, or however you identify, and you are not meant to be put in a box or have labels or limitations and be one thing. And so one of my least favorite questions or things to talk about is this, which everyone always asks us, right? Is what do you do? And I've just kind of reframed that into who am I? And then defining that without the labels of mom or friend or sister or executive or CEO or entrepreneur or author is I am a woman on a mission to help make the world a better place. I am a joy bringer. I am a powerful force of love. So, you can look me up and it's probably in the show notes and, author and a speaker and executive and an entrepreneur and this and this and this. And I am grateful for all of those professional experiences. But what I'm even more grateful for are the personal experiences that make me who I am, that make me the joy bringer, because I've been in very, very dark moments and I don't want anyone to feel what I have felt. Right. And speak openly about that. I'm a powerful force of love. And so are you, by the way. It's just that we've forgotten that because we're so wrapped up in this rat race and the hustle and the grind and what we do for a living and how much money we make and how pretty we are, how big our house is and how fancy our jewelry is. And it's all, and I could go on, but I'll stop there because I'm really passionate about this. And I'm coming off of a really challenging year. We've all had several challenging years with COVID, but just even another personal and professional year of tremendous transformation. But the transformation doesn't come without a lot of pain and stress and difficulty. So if you're in that place, just know, you move through it, but the only way to really get to the other side and the juicy dream life is to go through it. But that's the magic.
Wow. Wow. That was delightful to listen to. I wanted to jump up and literally wave my hands in the air because that speaks to such a depth. It literally hits straight to my heart, as I know it will with people listening to it. And God, you can't make me this emotional right this early in the conversation. Anyone that listens to my podcast knows that I am a sensitive soul, and I feel you, and I have just learned so much from what you have just shared, Kate. That was incredible, and there's so much to unpick there. I guess to begin with, I would just like to really take my hat off to you for sharing. For someone who has been, in the limelight, in front of the cameras, and has also very much deep dived into their spirituality as well, I think it's really, really wonderful that you speak with that uncovering, that unpeeling, if you like, of yourself. And I respect anyone that shares the good as well as the struggles, because it's really important. Otherwise, people can look up to someone like yourself and go, well, it's okay for her. Look at her. She's got this. She's done that. She's achieved all these things. But that's not looking at the whole person, is it? That's a perception. And it can be really dangerous, actually, I think, because in doing that, someone can build that person up that they're seeing, at the same time as absolutely dragging themselves down and feeling so uncomfortable and unhappy with themselves. Talking about the going through the tough bits to get to the wonder, the glory that you're aiming towards. Is it about sitting with that discomfort and really getting to know it well, would you say?
Yeah. And really trying not to judge it or judge yourself or judge the person or situation or corporation or whatever, whomever, kind of put you into that place. And I think just really owning where you are exactly. And within even an hour or a day, you can experience all different sorts of emotions. And I think this notion that we need to be happy and positive all the time, or that, I get a lot, oh, I didn't think someone like you would go through that. And I think I'm just going to share it, and probably 2 or 3 people know this, but there's been moments in the past couple of months, and for me, gosh, the irony, or being a suicide prevention awareness activist and having lost, the love of my life and another dear friend to suicide, and then having my own thoughts of suicide and thinking, wow, how did I get here? I think luckily having the tools and being able to step back, when you're in the bathtub and you're having these thoughts and recognizing these thoughts aren't me, it's a result of the trauma and what I'm going through. And being so grateful that I have the tools, and reaching out to people and hiring professionals and working through it. And the reason I was able to work through it, and the gentleman that I lost, and the people that we've lost who have died by suicide, they weren't able to reach out for whatever reason. And that's a condition of programming. Men are given the script at birth, don't talk about your feelings, and it's weak. And even now as women, and especially when you get to a certain level of success, you need to project, or you need to present in a certain way. And so for me, it's actually liberating, and I have nothing to hide, because I think there is nothing shameful about having bad thoughts or going through something. In my case, it was appropriate that I felt that way based on what I was experiencing and going through. And so then it's, I quickly get to a place of, okay, what are we going to do about it? But really the first step is to sit with it and get to the bottom of it, and certainly remove people who have even got you to a place like that, and remove work situations, whatever it is you need to clear it out, and know that you will be taken care of, and have faith and have trust and be willing. For me, I think that the other thing that happened too is my friend sharing with me, when I was explaining what was going on, she's like, gosh, I heard this thing today on NPR about this gorgeous flower that only blooms after complete destruction. And so the beauty in the destruction, the beauty in everything falling apart and burning down, for that ultimate reset. And even for me as an Aquarian, and if you're into horoscopes, but Pluto, this transformation planet, just moved into Aquarius today, the first time since the 1700s. And it's all about revolution, and that I've chosen to be one of the people leading the revolution and this great transformation. And that I'm turning into a whole complete different person. And that's what I think about what I'm coming out of is, thank you so much for this complete turmoil. It has made me into this warrior, this untouchable. So thank you. And if you're going through it, however big or small, just know what a gift and what a treasure, and who you will become if you choose, if you are willing at the end of this, or moving through it. What a gift. So I'm in that space, and everything doesn't feel perfect, and I don't have everything in my life I want right now. And I was very stressed out about this toxic situation yesterday, but I'm moving forward and I'm talking about it. And that is the salvation and the hug and the surrender that I want to offer to anyone listening. And if you are listening, you are meant to hear this and make meaning out of it, to empower you to a whole other identity and experience in your life. And I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I just said a lot, I know.
No, I was just going to say, yes, it is you that Kate is talking to. Yes, you're meant to be here now with Kate in your earbuds, and there'll be little knowing nods going, yep, she is. Okay, this is going to be okay. And I think a very clear message that came through just then for me, which ironically very much replicates a message my mum left me just a couple of hours ago, was to speak up. And I think that as women, part of the programming, you've just spoken about men and how, their expectation on them, if you like, is really not, it's not how it should be. They're human beings. Of course, they shouldn't just be able to cope with everything. They need to be able to reach out as well. But as women, I think that, and I talk about this a lot, we've been programmed, we've been expected, if you like, to be able to take on everything these days, because we're told, we can do anything that a guy can do, and we're all equal. But then all the things keep getting thrown on top of the other things. And I don't really think it's necessarily possible to do all the things. And we must not carry that burden of whatever it is we're going through, and that might be keeping us in turmoil, might be worrying us, might be concerning us. We must speak out and share. It is so powerful. So what you have just shared there is a really shining example. And, you speak as a guiding light of wisdom to everyone out there, whatever situation they're going through.
Thank you for that, because I know for a fact that if I'm struggling in any way at any time, other people are struggling, probably in a greater way. And we're not comparing. I'm like, we're definitely not going to compare the levels of struggle or anything else. But for me, I remember just even a recent hospital stint on my birthday of all days. And it was the worst birthday ever, obviously, and being alone in the ER. And then, and just the recovery the few days later. And I remember just looking at myself in the mirror, Joe, and just saying out loud, I don't want anyone to ever go through what I'm going through right now and experience this. And a lot of it is that feeling of being alone and having to carry the burden alone and on your own. And I feel like I'm just here today giving people reminders that I've needed and wanted. And you know it intellectually perhaps, or you know it intuitively, but there's something powerful about someone saying it and speaking it over you, or just speaking it into existence for you as that confirmation that we're not alone. And that, for me, I've got God and my angels and that, but also soul sisters like thousands of miles away that you can connect to like this, or reach out for help, or there's so many professionals. And sometimes it's like, gosh, I'm spending so much money on coaches and therapists or energy healers or whatever it is, but it's such an investment in myself. And then I have that knowledge in my bones, in my heart, in my soul, and nobody can ever take that from me. And then from that place, I make much better decisions and set much better boundaries and call in people who are much more in alignment, jobs, opportunities, money, all of it. So we have to try less. That's just what we naturally magnetize. So it is worth the investment. It is worth the work. And that even brings me to my book and going through that, where you put in the work and you see the results, but nobody else can do it for you. It has to be yours. But then the good news about that is the results are yours.
Very much so. Now we'll come on to your book a bit more fully in a moment, but I just wanted to let you know that I have started listening to it again. I've got it on Audible. So you have accompanied me on many of my morning walks over here in Blighty, and it spoke to me so powerfully, so deeply. And of course, as I knew that we were going to be speaking today, I wanted to go back to it and, dip into it to remind myself of the wisdom of the teachings that you bring to us. And one thing I will say, which also relates to what you've just spoken to then, is that we might know the answers. We might have it within us. But actually, when we're in that deep place, that dark place, sometimes it is about having someone else tell us, even if we knew it once before. It's that reminder, it's that reinforcement, if you like, that we just need that support with at that time. And listening to the book again now really interested me when I started it again last week, because I think that when I listened to it first time, I was in quite a strong place in terms of, mentally, I felt like I was quite aligned and I had lots of good practices in place already. So listening to your book almost added to my toolbox, because I was learning new things from you as well. But it was almost like layering upon the foundation that I already had. Fast forward to this week and this time in my life, and hence my mum giving me that message earlier, keep talking, please don't hold on to things yourself. And I don't want to make this about me, but I'm going through perimenopause at the moment, and it is just overwhelming in waves, and quite often when I'm not even seeing it coming. And so when I've been listening to it this time, it has been extra comforting. It has hit me in deeper places, if you like, than it did before. And I almost feel myself sort of scrambling for, the tools that you give, the exercises that you make us do. And I feel like I am experiencing the book on a deeper level. Now, before we continue anymore, tell us about the name of your book and how it came about for you.
Yeah, I first have to acknowledge I don't want to say I'm sorry you're going through it because you're a woman. It's part of our natural evolution and process here. But listen, I've experienced different hormones the past couple of years, and we go through so much at all stages. So I have so much compassion and empathy for you. And I'm so glad that you have tools and you're reaching out. And I think it's so powerful when we can just talk about it and be honest about what's going on. Even with men, they've got moms. It's how they're here is because some woman had a period. So you're welcome, men, let's talk about it. And I think if we can embrace it, and I think those moments where it's really sucky, or you're like, you feel this alien take over, the alien being the hormones or whatever is happening. You're just like, all right, you know what? Today I'm going to just sit here and watch a movie or stare out the window or whatever I'm going to do. And that's going to be okay. And that's going to be enough. So amen to that, right? We've all been there. Amen. But the book came about, I was a competitive swimmer for 17 years and an athlete, and I knew how hard I had to train my physical muscles to compete at such a high level. And our culture is certainly obsessed with the physical, what we look like, our size as women, and work out and don't eat this and be skinny and all that that we hear since birth. So I went through some trials and tribulations, as we all do. Go about your life. Everything looks good on the outside, perhaps, but you're struggling on the inside. And then losing those two loved ones to suicide was a massive wake-up call for me. And I knew I couldn't continue on living the same way I was living, which is how most of us live, putting all of our worth in the externals. It's not sustainable. It doesn't work. And that's why I think we all feel like crap so much of the time, because we are doing that. And so really going within, going back to school, studying neuroscience, positive psychology, whole person coaching techniques at Columbia, and implementing that into a program for your spirit, a program for your mental and emotional muscles to build those really fit and strong so that you can navigate anything that comes your way, whether it's the pandemic, the loss of a loved one, perimenopause, loss of a job, just the global chaos that is constantly around. Getting to be to that solid, still place where you notice, you don't want to become desensitized or unconscious to it, especially the suffering of yourself or others, but it doesn't affect you in terms of taking you out. You have the skills, and then you transmute it and alchemize it into gold, into helping others, into building your own business, into showing up in an authentic way for yourself and others. And so the full spirit workout is a play on the full body workout that we often hear advertised at the gym, but it really is about bringing your full self, your full spirit to everything you do and to everyone you meet, and really living from that place.
Yeah. It's genius, absolute genius, especially the title. I think it really speaks to people. And I do believe that more and more people are realizing how important our mental health and our spiritual health is to the flow of our lives and the happiness as well. And you want that happiness not to be skin deep. You want it to run all the way through you, don't you? And I guess exactly like exercise, like training with your swimming and, being an athlete, it is something that is going to build up in an incremental way, isn't it? If you keep working at it and keep remembering it, actually, because I think it is really easy, possibly easier to overlook the spiritual side of things than it is perhaps the physical. Now, that's not to say that, we might not get the physical thing right sometimes either, but how do you feel about people being able to build and continue this spiritual workout?
Yeah, I think it's like physical exercise where it has that instant endorphin boost. So even if you're only able to read or listen to 5 minutes or do one exercise or one meditation or read a couple of paragraphs, or just nugget after nugget after nugget, make it have meaning for you, interpret it in your own way. And that's why I like it's that the book is a combination of personal stories and antidotes, really raw and vulnerable story sharing, as you know, and then the practical, taking all of my master's degree from Columbia and infusing that in terms of coaching and meditation, journaling exercises, research and science that has proven to actually move the needle, in addition to all of the, metaphysical and spiritual. And so it will have that cumulative effect over time. The more and more you do it, I recommend doing it consistently, just like any practice. And we all know that you can't go to the gym just once a month or once a year and expect to be physically fit on any level. And the same is true with our inner muscles. They need the reps. You got to like sweat on the inside. You got to get that 6-pack spirit. But then, once you get to a certain level of inner fitness, you just maintain it, just like you do with you've gotten to a physical fitness, and then, it's the maintenance and again, having fun with it and doing it as a reward, not as a punishment. And you will start to feel the effects. You will see improved relationships. You will see that you're more creative. You're performing at a higher level. You're achieving so much more in less time. You actually like yourself when you look in the mirror, and you start losing weight or gaining weight if that's what you need to do, because you're addressing the root cause, not just the symptom.
Very much so. And for someone who has never in their lives thought about meditation or, anything spiritual at all, where could they start?
I think you start, for me, I think sleeping is a spiritual practice. So getting more sleep and rest and being disciplined about that. One of my favorite spiritual practices that came about early on in the lockdown is what I call my sit and stare practice, where minimum 5 minutes a day, you sit and stare, just like it says, out the window, at the trees, straight ahead, into the kitchen, wherever you have, perhaps you drink your morning coffee or matcha or water or whatever you're into. And before you're doing anything, but just sit in silence by yourself. Sounds probably counterintuitive to people. And it's like, well, what about the kids and the dog and the spouse and the whatever, the roommates? Then go in a quiet room by yourself, or wait until they all leave, and really check in with yourself like you're a small child and ask, how are you doing? What do you need right now? What can I do for you? And then become more practiced at listening, not to the egos like, why'd you say that dumb thing? Or, oh my God, am I going to lose my job? Or why is my partner being such a jerk? Or God, my kids are driving me crazy. None of that. It's, wow, I should reach out to Joe and connect with her about doing a project together. Or, today I think I'm going to go for a walk after work and really just, turn everything off and appreciate nature and be really present with the ocean. Oh, I really want to get back in touch with my mom. We've kind of been out of touch, and I'm worried about her. Or, what I need is I really need some time to reflect on just all the turmoil I've been through the past few years. And so you'll hear, and that is one of my favorite spiritual practice is getting practice at listening. And it is a skill. And so then you don't have to freak out when the shit hits the fan, or, things, it's just kind of like, and then, I think sometimes we hear that voice and we don't like what it has to say, or it's like, ooh, you really need to leave this job or this relationship. And that that's true, but you're like, well, I'm not ready. Or what about the money? Or what are people going to think? Or I'm never going to find somebody else. And you're going to have to just move through that. And again, it's another practice of trust and faith and moving through it and just knowing, because what is the alternative, or what is the cost of not doing that? And so I think the more we can sit in silence and really reflect and tune in, and please do this in between all the Zoom meetings or even physical meetings now. Please do it in between appointments and things, so you can even check in with yourself and like, okay, how did that go? What's my takeaway from that? What's my action step for that? Rather than getting to the end of the day and everything's all jumbled and you feel frazzled and overwhelmed and just want to shut it down.
Wonderful. And it's the complete antidote to modern life, isn't it? I wouldn't mind betting that there are so many people out there who, just look at social media, the whole idea of social media, that it's scrolling constantly, isn't it? And that's keeping your mind on this high alert, but not high alert in your favor. It's just that sort of constant, almost, I don't know if it's a stress state, but it's certainly an alarming kind of state, if you like. And I think that to get quiet, even for 5 minutes, would be a really challenging thing for some people, actually. And the benefits that come from it, just that settling of the mind, I find absolutely magical. A bit like sleep, like you say, that is a spiritual practice, to sleep, to get quiet. And we've got all these things at our disposal. And there are so many other things in life vying for our attention, vying for our interaction, when actually, if only our body could speak louder from the inside to go, what are you playing at? Listen to me, give me some space, give me some silence, give me some calm. because then I'm going to repay you with all of those positive things that you talked about.
Yeah. And as you're talking, I kept, what my brain has been doing to me since doing these practices is no. For instance, oh, I really need to write everybody on social media back. My brain says, no, absolutely not. And it's such a non-negotiable where even if I'm like, that part of my brain or being that's like, no, I want to do that, or I should get back, or it's the polite thing to do. And the part of me that's protecting me and my sanity and my bandwidth and is no. And the thing is, I want to write everybody back because I want to connect with everybody. But my brain from doing this work is like, you need to connect with yourself, listening to that voice, because for me, it's been screaming, no, or stay off of the phone, or stay off of this, and just no. I think too, when you work with a coach and they say things like, and it's from spirit, you can feel them being channeled. And they say things like, your whole life, it's been 80% work, 18% other people, and 2% to you, and you are last. And when that is said to you and it resonates and you want to go to fight back or resist or say that's not true, and you have to own that that is true and how freaking sad that is, you're going to want to make some changes. And that's the voice in my head that says no. And we're done with this situation, or we're not. And I love that. And just to prove that the sit and stare works, I was a little worried the first time I did this at a keynote with especially an audience of a lot of sports figures and celebrities and men, and having them do sit and stare. And we only did a minute, but I was waiting for the fidgeting or people to get out their phone or talk to their neighbor. And for me as a speaker, I'm in the zone, but I wasn't speaking at that time. And to offer up this exercise, which to that group of people, especially, and for me, it was the most impactful moment of the whole thing, because everybody did it and was interested. And when I quietly kind of came back and probably did more than a minute, I think some people could have done that for much longer. And I saw how much people needed and soaked it up like a sponge, because they don't stop or put their phone down or not talk to somebody. And also I wanted some of them to feel perhaps the discomfort of sitting there alone. So it works. Please try it out.
Very, very much so. The word that came to my mind as you were just telling me that, by the way, I got all the tingles. I could just feel the powerful energy of that exercise. Yeah, the word that came to mind was that you gave them a gift. You gave them a gift. And not only in that moment, but they could then recognize how they felt, how it felt, perhaps to feel awkward that maybe they did want to grab for their phone because that was their reaction, their natural reaction, but they didn't, and how it felt to resist it. And a bit like your voice in your head saying no to replying to everyone on social media. It proves that we have got these muscles, these internal invisible muscles that can be exercised. And yeah, we can prove to ourselves that we are stronger and kinder to ourselves than we ever realized. It would be wonderful, Kate, if you could share your 5 Ps of confidence with us.
Yes. So the 5 Ps of confidence came from my research when I was getting my degree at Columbia. And I studied confidence because when I was working with leaders and athletes and anybody, everyone always wanted to feel more confident in some area of their life. Maybe they are really confident at their, private equity, but they weren't confident at having the uncomfortable, difficult conversations, which few people are, by the way. And so I was really fascinated by this topic. In my research, what I came about is the 5 Ps of confidence. And the first is, I'll just go through them and then we can touch on them, but it's presence, patience, purpose, preparation, and practice. And then I've since developed 2 bonus Ps, which are pause and person, as in be a person. And presence, we all know that it's about, showing up with your full self, your full spirit, like you mean it. And it's also being present in the exact moment you are with whomever you're with, even if you're by yourself, rather than stressing about the past, future tripping, being all there and bring your presence. I see so many people like, I'm not getting these results. I'm not getting the sale. I'm not getting this. And it, like, you talk about your product or service or yourself, your business, like you don't even like it. And I think, I know I'm a professional presenter, but playing actions as actors do, and setting that intention and asking before you do anything, how do I want my audience to feel? Even if your audience is your 5-year-old child and you're trying to convince him to not run around the house naked, to get dressed and go to school, right? Yeah. That was a silly example. See, I'm just in the flow here. Patience, patience stems from the words to suffer. So I see why we all suffer while we wait for the thing. But I think if you can hold on loosely and know that you're wanting that thing or person so badly and gripping so tightly is repelling it, then you can tighten your grip, not, be so attached to the outcome. Things like that. So all of this is in my book, and you can look further. I know we don't have all day though. Purpose, that's your why. So we become more confident when we know why we're doing something. So clients always are telling me their goals. And I think, great, why do you want to do that? And that's when sometimes there's a disconnect, because it's like, well, I don't really want to do that. That's what I should be doing, or that's what mom and dad want, or my partner wants. So really asking yourself, why do I want this? And why right now? Why is this important to me? Preparation, we all know this. When you're prepared, it makes you feel more confident and you show up and perform better. So taking the time to be prepared, and then practice. So you got to put in the reps, just like anything else, and be practiced when you show up for anything that's meaningful to you. Pause. This has been a huge one for me. It's taking a beat before you respond to the upsetting email and cause friction with a friend or coworker or colleague. It's taking a pause before you respond to the rude email or text, and taking a pause in between, like we said, different meetings or appointments, and taking that pause to have the love and respect for yourself to even ask, how are you doing? Or why are you online shopping again? What's this about? What are you trying to numb? You're about to eat your, 6-piece of pizza. I'm raising the hand for myself. Are you really hungry for this, or is it something else? So those intentional pauses in between. In person, my speaking coach, Eduardo, would always say this to me, just be a freaking person. I think if you're like me, anything like me, you're a little obsessed with perfectionism and want to do everything just right. And that's kind of boring and unrealistic and doesn't exist. So what if we can just show up and be a person and relate to people through our humanity?
Yeah. Flaws and all.
Flaws and all.
Yeah. They are absolutely brilliant. I love them. Really love them and really connect to them. And when you said about the pause, I also think about sometimes when I'm standing speaking with a room of people, that sometimes in the past I could panic. Oh my gosh, what am I going to say next? But now I'm much more content with allowing a breath, allowing that silence, and then going into it. And it definitely serves me so much better. So, yeah,
and we don't have to try so hard, right? I think we do that, especially as women, where we think we have to say the clever thing or ask the interesting question or be interesting, whatever. And I think the more we can go, and even showing up from podcasts or showing up for anything that I have to do, live television. And some days, I'm like, man, I don't have it today. I'm this and this is going on, that's going on. I don't feel well. And so I always just set the intention. I'm like, I'm just here to show up, to have a good time, and to really connect with the person that I'm speaking with. And if I can do that, then it's a success, and trusting that whatever is meant to come out will come out. But when you turn your focus to the other person and what value you can add, when it's about what you're giving rather than you're getting, and your purpose and your mission is connection, you can't mess it up, because so few people are really even deeply listening to us anyway, or truly seeing and hearing and acknowledging us. So when you offer that gift of your presence, of you seeing someone or hearing someone, acknowledging them, complimenting them, they're not even going to remember what else you did. They're just going to remember, like, wow, I felt so incredible in Joe's presence. I need to reach out to her and connect and go to lunch or see how I can help support her. She's so kind. You're going to seem so different from everyone else because you are. So, or I think the flip side of that is to go to the event or the party and say, I'm just here to receive tonight. Someone else, me as being the walking dog and pony show, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to be super chill. I'm going to receive. And if no one's going to give me anything, then I'm just going to sit here and observe and take it all in. But I am not doing the dog and pony show tonight.
Wow.
And if you got a husband or wife or kids, may you not do the dog and pony show tonight. Someone else can cook dinner if that's what you're used to doing. Someone else can be the entertainment, ask the interesting questions and ask you some questions, right?
Right. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. That's so valid and definitely one for us all to think about. Now, we don't have very much time left because, as I mentioned, you have a busy schedule, as you say in the US. So I'm going to fast forward to my final question, if that's okay with you. As you know, the name of my business is How Does She Do It? Because I believe that she doesn't do it all, not without hitting burnout and all the other lovely things that can come our way. So it would be wonderful if you could share with me one thing that you do or don't do anymore to remain on track and healthy and happy in your life.
I love this question. Thank you for having it. And even the name, how does she do it? And I think the beauty in she doesn't do it all. For me, what's coming up, I always just like to speak right. What comes through is I don't worry about what quote unquote they think anymore. Or when it comes up out of a bad habit or, when we were less mature or whatever. Oh, I wonder, but it comes up now and it's just like, it doesn't care and they don't matter or who cares? It doesn't matter. They don't matter. And not to be rude because everyone matters, but the people who are talking or not supportive or trying to bring you down or are unable or unwilling to love or support you for whatever reason, they don't matter. And so when that thought comes up of like, it doesn't matter. They don't matter. And when I do that, it like instantly shuts it down. And then I go back to my glorious life or task or assignment. And it is so freaking liberating. So because this happens to all of us and we all struggle with this no matter who we are. So when that thing or that person or that whatever, say it out loud, even who cares? It doesn't matter. They don't matter. And then these things will be less and less and less on your radar because you'll be so filled up with the people who do matter and the opportunities and experiences that do matter. First and foremost, yourself and your health. And you will feel the shift. I feel like I'm screaming and preaching now because I have been experimenting with this and it is life-changing. And I want all of you to please start doing this because the world needs your magic and your beauty and your grace and your gifts. And we don't have time for the people and the things that do not matter.
Amen.
I feel like I want to drop a bunch of mics because, they say
literally
that you teach what you need to learn. And so there you go. And that's why, again, it's good to go through some rough times because you become this wise teacher and your suffering is not in vain. You're going to help so many people, but you got to share about what you're going through and offer them perhaps what helped you. And let's all heal and grow together because we're on a mission. We need to help this world. It really needs our help.
We do. And as you were speaking just then, just before the mic drop moment, I literally felt, this is really visual. It was really visual for me. I felt gold oozing out of you, the color gold, like a liquid gold oozing out of you. And oh my gosh, that's going to spread, the ripple effect that I've just felt from that. And I hope that other people will feel it as well. You have given us so much to take away and to gently and kindly implement into our lives for the sake of ourselves, but also for the sake of those around us as well. And we can then go on to share this wonderful knowledge and these beautiful hints and tips that you have shared with us today. It's magic, absolutely magic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. You are magic. You are the pot of gold. We're spreading it. So I don't know if people can see us, but from my heart out to yours, just really spreading and sharing our inner gold with everyone and starting with ourselves. So do it in front of the mirror, but really, and then hug somebody. And I think when we ooze that, what a different experience we're going to have in the world. And so thank you again so much. And thank you to everyone who's listening. It's a joy to be connected to you. And I hope that we can have our little mini virtual book club, even if it's just, energetically here. And please reach out with any questions about the book. And thank you everyone for being on this journey of self-discovery with us.
We're all in this together. Now, where can people find you, Kate?
Sure. You can go to thefullspiritworkout.com, get all the book info and order it there. And you can find me at Kate Eckman, KateEckman.tv. Would love to connect with you there. There's some free goodies on the website, the book meditations, and I'm Kate Eckman everywhere on social media. So please get in touch.
Awesome. We have 1 minute before you need to leave, and I'm going to use 10 seconds of that to thank you so much for taking valuable time out of your day to speak with me. You have uplifted me more than you will ever know this evening. And when I go back from the office into the house to see my kiddies, they're going to see a different mama than the one that left them a little bit emotionally an hour ago. So thank you, my love. It's been such an honor to meet with you and chat with you tonight.
Thank you. I feel the same. Thank you for sharing that. And you are the magical mama, and you deserve to be at your highest vibration and on your journey. And when you're at other vibrations, that's beautiful too. So thank you so much, and sending you so much love. You deserve it.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.